I've had so many struggles as being an introverted pastor's wife. If you are an introverted pastor's wife, or if you are just introverted, make sure you stick around and watch the full video. I'm going to discuss some of the difficulties that I face as being introverted. I'm also going to discuss how you can thrive by even being introverted, how to handle it and still accomplish things, and how you can even deal with uncomfortable situations. Before I start talking about being an introvert, I just want to go over the meaning of the word and some of the traits of being introverted. An introvert is someone that's shy and that's quiet. An introverted person feels more comfortable focusing on their thoughts and ideas rather than what's happening externally. They enjoy spending time with just one or maybe two people rather than large groups or crowds. For some reason, I don't understand why, but maybe you guys can help me out. But the average person feels that a pastor's wife is someone that's going to be outgoing, someone that loves to entertain, someone that's very talkative and that like to be around a lot of people. And of course, I am the opposite. I love my quiet time. I love being alone. I just feel more comfortable being alone. I love to just sit around and just think about certain things, and I hate small talk. For example, when I'm interacting with someone, I don't care to talk about my nails, my hair, or stuff that I consider just petty things. I would rather talk about something like how to make the world a better place, different things that's going on in our society, how it can be changed. I like deep conversation. I'm not a preacher. I don't know about now, but I would say years ago when my husband and I started the ministry, people would just assume that I am a preacher. For example, whenever he would go to different churches, most of the time the pastor's wife will pull me to the side and will let me know that they having a particular women's day or something at their church and wanted to know if I was a preacher. And I noticed whenever I would let them know that I'm not, they would kind of like look at me a little strange. I can remember with my mom over the years, whenever me and my family would go to Minneapolis to visit, she would always ask me, my mom calls me Annette. Annette is my middle name, but she would say, Annette, don't you want to preach today? Don't you want to minister? And I will always have to tell her, I don't know how many times that I'm saying, Mom, I'm not a preacher. But I do understand now why she kept pushing me about that. Even though I'm not a preacher, later on I did find out that I am a minister and how that you minister in different ways. But I will talk about that a little later on in the video. Over the years, maybe just a couple of times, I tried to teach one of our Bible studies, and I noticed whenever I would get up there, I would feel just so uncomfortable. It's like I would lose my train of thoughts, and I know a lot of it really just had to do with my nerves and just learning how to relax. But I just hated that anxious feeling, or feeling that I had to learn how to preach, and how that came along with being a pastor's wife. I do remember telling my mom how that I felt that I wasn't a preacher, and I told her that if I was a preacher, it seemed like when it's time for me to do it, it should come naturally. It shouldn't be something that I would have to just force out of me. But I can say this, I do remember her telling me that how that when she first started pastoring, she wasn't comfortable, and she would tell me that that's why she would have her members to pray for a long time whenever they would have services. She said because the fact that was the only thing that she knew how to do was just to pray. I don't like speaking in front of the public. Whenever my husband have to minister at a different church, I don't know why, but for some reason churches feel like whenever a visiting pastor comes and his wife is with him, that the pastor's wife should introduce him. And I can remember that every time I would go somewhere with him, and I would be sitting in an audience hoping that they would not call me around to introduce him. And I really couldn't understand what was the point of it, because I felt like a lot of times the churches that we went to was people that already knew us. So I'm like, if you already know him, just call him around, you know. And I also felt like that, okay, if you don't know anything about him, when you ask him to come to minister at your church, call him and get some information about him. And that way the person that's already up with the microphone can introduce him. But I can say that I don't freak out as much anymore when we go to visit someone's church and they ask me to come around and introduce them. It's because that I already expect for it to happen. So I kind of like practice what I'm going to say, and that makes it a lot more easier. One thing that you do want to learn about introverted people is that they don't like to talk a lot. I can say with myself, it's like after an hour and a half, no more than 2 hours, I'm tired and I feel drained. And for some reason, it's like when I do a lot of talking, it does take my energy away. I feel like that I have been working and I just need to go and be by myself just to rejuvenate my energy. So the time that I spend alone, it's like that's the time that I reboot. It's just like if you have a battery and it's almost dead and it needs to be recharged, and so you put it on the charger for it can be recharged again. Well, time alone for an introverted, it recharges them. The conversation have to be something that I'm really interested in for me to go over 2 hours. I just want to share some of the things that I learned about being effective. You don't have to be outgoing to be a pastor's wife. You don't have to be a preacher to be a pastor's wife. But I also learned that you are a minister. And the reason why that you are a minister is that when you connect yourself to a pastor, it makes you a leader. And it's something that's inside of you that you need to share. It's some special things that God wants you to do. You don't have to preach to be effective. You can minister to people by the life that you live, by your behavior. And really, when you think about it, I think I would rather be a person to where I can witness to people by the life I live, not so much by what I say. It's all about your actions and your deeds. What's more important is to be a peacemaker. Be an example for other women. Take care of your family. Submit to your husband. But I do want to say this is that even though you are introverted, you do want to learn how to use your voice. Every so often, you do want to do some things that's uncomfortable for you. And the reason why is that it does help you to grow. I look at my life and myself and how that I have changed so much since I started using my voice. Sharing some of the things that I have been through in life, trying to help someone else. It have transformed my life, and I just want to say that I would not have grown or got to the place that I am in if I wouldn't have started expressing myself. That's how you grow, and that's how you develop and also discover different opportunities in life. So try to start sharing. Share to help other women. And most importantly, be yourself. If you are an introvert, leave me a comment. If one of the tips in this video stood out to you, make sure you leave a comment. If you would like for me to talk about a particular topic, you can always email me at chatswithflo@gmail.com, and I will create a video, and of course I will leave your name anonymous. Thank you for tuning in to Chats with Flo. Hope you have an awesome day.